right, 6 o'clock. We said we start at 6. We're going to start at 6, right, timekeeper?
Yeah, that's
all right. My name is Bruce Tomlinson, Executive Editor of the New Jersey Herald. Thank you for coming to tonight's debates. We have 2 of them at 6 o'clock, which is now. We're going to have the debate among the 4 candidates for County Freeholder. Soon after that, at 7:15, it's our scheduled start time for the Assembly debate. The questions tonight have been prepared by the newsroom of the New Jersey Herald with input from our readers who have been submitting suggestions all week online and in the mail. There is a format which our moderator, Bruce Scruton, he's our senior reporter, will be moderating the first debate tonight. He will explain the format to you. As always, if you have cell phones that are going to make rousing noises, if you could silence them or put them on vibrated, that will be appreciated. This event is going to be live streamed. It is live streamed right now on the New Jersey Herald website at mjherald.com. It will be available there for replay. It's also being taped by Service Electric, and it will be played several times on Service Electric channels. So, and watch for that. We'll have that in the paper. Thank you again for coming tonight, and on with the debate. Mr. Scruton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse my back for those of you there, but I need to watch these guys. Tonight's debate will be among the 4 candidates, 2 Republican, 2 Independents. I will give you a minute to explain who you are, why you're running, and then we will get into a set of questions, and there may be a couple of surprises along the way that we've been known to throw in every now and then. Before we began, you all drew for numbers. So Mr. Rose is going to be number 1, getting the first question, and it will rotate as we go through those particular questions. If the timekeeper is ready, question 1 is a round of questions designed as individual questions. In other words, the question will be directed at a specific candidate with 1 minute to answer.
Sir?
Yes, I'm getting to that.
Statements?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting to that. And then after his answer, the other 3 candidates will have a chance. Jonathan, you were number 1, so you can go with your opening statement, and then we will go with the others and get into the questions.
Hello, everyone. In case you don't know me, I'm Jonathan Rose. I'm the mayor of Sussex, and along with Carl Lazaro, are your Republican candidates for Freeholder of Sussex County. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us tonight, and I thank the New Jersey Herald for putting on this debate. I'm a native son of Sussex County. I was born here and grew up in Wantage Township. I graduated from High Point and have only lived outside of the county when I went to Rutgers University, where I majored in computer science, math, and physics. This year, for me, marks a decade of working on public budgets. I've served in various elected positions for 11 years now, with the last 4 years being mayor. As mayor, I try to keep an open mind and govern respectfully and ethically. I'm a proponent of open government, even when it slows things down. I try to make sure that those that disagree with me are still given full opportunity to have their voices heard. Carl and I will fight for you and for all the taxpayers. We will do what is right, not what is easy. We will make you proud to be from Sussex County. We look forward to taking the next hour to share our vision of the future with you.
Okay, Mr. Walsh.
Hi, my name is Bob Walsh. I've lived in Sussex County in Vernon for the past 10 years. I'm on the Vernon Board of Education. Get a lot of good experience there. Who I am really doesn't matter. It's basically how I look at situations, and it's true in any relationship. There's a situation going down in Byram where the Department of Transportation, it's just an absolute travesty. And I went to Lenape Valley High School, and that road's been messed up for 35 years. So how would I handle that? I would go down and meet with Byram officials and, go through proper channels. And then if need be, if I have to stand down there as a freeholder with a sign, okay, in freezing cold weather, then that's the way it's going to have to be, because I have done that in other avenues. So I think as an independent, I can bring advocacy to Sussex County.
Harvey?
Hello, my name's Harvey Rosette. I've lived in Sussex County for the past 32 years. Many of those years I've lived quietly. But the last 10, well, how can one live quietly? I'm a small international businessman in a very high-tech field. I'm always building coalitions and working with bureaucracies to move them forward to new ideas and products. So here I am, I'm an independent, something new for Sussex County, critical eye. I have a critical eye and knowledge of what is not working and what can be working a hell of a lot better. We need to get back to governing basics, strip away programs like transitional health care, realign costly boondoggles like the 911 program, and start accountability with the solar program. If we do this right, we lower the tax burden. As an independent, I'm your agent of change.
And Carl.
Good evening, I'm Carl Lazaro, along with Jonathan Rose, your Republican nominee for Freeholder. Freedom is my home, where I reside with my wife of 33 years, Pamela. We have 4 grown children and 3 grandchildren. I was raised in a rural community upstate New York, and I came to New Jersey and graduated from Rutgers University, and later received a master's from New Brunswick Theological Seminary, after which I served a parish in New York City. A few years later, I became the administrator of a drug treatment center for children in the city. An opportunity arose to come to Newton and work with young people with drug problems, and I relocated here. While in Newton, I served for many years on this Board of Education, and this stage here brings many fond memories of events performed by the youth of our county. In 1980, I opened my own insurance agency in Hampton Township, and a few years later moved to Frieden, where I now serve on the Planning Board and Township Committee, and was elected Deputy Mayor and then Mayor, a position in which I have served for the past 5 years. I bring experience in local government, working with people, the complexities of budgets, as well as personnel and public works. This has been my home for over 40 years. I will serve all the people of Sussex County along with Jonathan and preserve our great heritage. Thank you for your support and confidence.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. First question is going to be to John. You recused yourself from discussion of the sale of Sussex Borough's Water and Sewer Department, claiming a potential conflict of interest because of your business. As freeholder, will there be more recusals because of business connections within the county?
It's a possibility. I serve many attorneys and CPAs in the firm through my computer consulting business, so it is a possibility. I can't guarantee that it wouldn't occur. But what I can guarantee is that if there is a conflict, I will recuse myself.
Okay, Bob, what issue or issues brought you into this race for freeholder as an independent?
Basically, to bring an independent view to things that, one of the things I really don't like is the hiring practices that have recently gone on with the Freeholder Board, where you have extremely high salaries, very little of a vetting process. They changed the residency requirement. I think it's a conflict of interest to have a county council that is also president of the Bar Association, which is an advocacy group. So that's something that definitely caught my attention.
Okay, gentlemen, a technical thing. Can you move the microphones a little bit closer to you? Apparently, they're having problems hearing in the audience.
Do you want me to
on.
repeat it, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
Harvey, you were against the settlement of the county's solar project. If elected freeholder, what action do you plan to take if elected?
I think the settlement was conflicted. I think a lot of the parties, they were too related to each other. I think a lot of the parties were too related to each other. That needs to be explored. We need to see if there's any conflicts there and how they affect the eventual contracts. And these conflicts continually come to fore. Just recently, I noticed that the independent trustee bought into this deal. So there's now an independent trustee who affected this final settlement, and they represented one side. And I think these things have to be looked at very closely.
And the second part of the question was, what do you plan to do about it if elected as freeholder?
Well, I think all of these conflicts have to be looked in detail, and then if the conflicts are there, you have to start looking at overturning the contracts.
Carl, as mayor of Freedom, your town was among the first to be part of the county solar project and was among the first to have the project completed in your town. You have since come out against the settlement. Did your town see any benefit? And if not, is that why you're against it?
Our town elected to be part of the solar project as it was offered to us because it was offered as a benefit to the town and it was going to save money. So the township committee voted to accept the project in the town. We did what was good for the town. However, at no time did I ever sign on to any bonds or agree to back any bonds. And if I had been in that position, I would have been opposed to that. The solar project in our town has been operational almost a little over a year, and our savings has been borderline, to be honest with you.
A profit, or have you saved money?
Some months, yes, some months, no.
Okay.
Depends.
You know,
30 seconds.
I think we have to put this deal in perspective. When the Morris County crew went to Somerset to start this deal, it was 4.1 cents per kilowatt hour. Went to Morris, 6.7. It came to Sussex, it was 9.35 cents. This deal, it stunk from the beginning. And we have to start thinking on our own 2 feet, not saying somebody put something in front of us and I signed on.
Okay, I have it down as question 1A. The two gentlemen over here who were not part of that and haven't been part of the public outcry on it. What would you like to say about the solar settlement? Jonathan?
Well, I am afraid that the solar settlement is going to fail, and when it does, we will have lost another $7 million and indemnified a whole number of people who should not have been indemnified. What needs to happen is an investigation immediately, on January 1st next year, within the first couple weeks, start an investigation and use a power that the Freeholder Board has. Not many people know. They have subpoena powers. Use the subpoena powers, start an internal investigation, and use subpoena powers to figure out what went wrong, how it went wrong, and more importantly, how to prevent another catastrophe like this from ever occurring again.
Bob?
I think we have to learn from our mistakes, but I think basically it was between 2 counties, which people tend to forget. Morris County was involved with this. I think we need to learn from our mistakes. I've dealt with solar companies on the Board of Education and learned from other people's mistakes, but I really think it was just good people trying to do the best they can, and I think in some aspects, we need to be Christian about this and just move on.
Anything else on this part? Okay. The county, and this is directed to Jonathan first, you each will have a minute to answer the question, so listen carefully, please. The county has been pretty consistent with giving equal amount of money to the operating budgets for both Sussex County Community College and Sussex County Technical School. With the county's declining population, especially among school children, leading to a declining population at the community college, what action should the Board of Chosen Freeholders take to help the community college get through this declining population, which results in a decline in student tuition, which helps pay for the college's budget?
I've had a conversation with a number of people involved with the college, and what it appears to me and to those people is that the declining enrollment does not coincide with the population of Sussex County, but it tracks very closely the economic fortunes of the community. So as the economic fortunes of Sussex County drop, the enrollment increases. As the economic fortunes of the county increase, you see a declining enrollment. So what I think is causing the current decline in enrollment is not a decline in population of the county, but rather an increase in the economic fortunes of Sussex County. So what to do about the declining enrollment? I'm not sure that much can be done. I'm not in favor of any large cash infusions into the college, other than the projects that are currently on the drawing board right now.
Okay, Bob?
Bruce, I am all over this question. What I think should be done is we need to improve the physical facility of the community college. And I'm looking at a pool, turf field, having a real gym that doesn't have a rubber floor, and a fitness center, because those things are what attract young people to a community college, whether we like it or not. It's not just the academics, it's the physical facility. Another thing is that the president needs to go out and aggressively go into middle schools and portray the community college in a good light. Another thing we need to look into is adults, having an adult school, like a branch campus off-site.
Hey, Harvey?
I'm definitely not into turning this school into a spa. And on top of that, I think we do have to start looking at overhead. And there should have been a good, solid discussion of affiliation either with Morris or Warren or other counties to reduce our overhead, our administrative overhead costs at the college. And that should have been done before we hired the president. And I'm really sorry that did not occur. I don't think that's respectful of the taxpayer.
Carl?
The college has to monitor itself. The Freeholder Board doesn't necessarily control the college. It's supposed to be politically separated from the college, and the college needs to monitor its own budget. People don't go to college because they can go swimming or run on a turf field. I don't know where that money's going to come from, do something like that. I would be opposed to that unless somebody came up with a phenomenal idea of where they were going to find all this money. It's not our job to spend more taxpayer dollars on the college. It's up for the college to support itself and to continue its own existence. Now, will it grow? I think it's going to grow with the county, and I think the county is going to go through a cyclical period and return back to that growth, and the college will have to roll with it.
Any?
Oh, yeah.
Bob? 30 seconds.
First of all, those improvements aren't a spa. Those improvements are deserved by middle-class students in Sussex County to go there. And all those improvements that I suggested are all revenue-producing items.
Isn't it interesting that the VOTEC school is maxed out with its students? People are looking to do other things, and our young people have expanded their thinking into being entrepreneurs and business people. That's a key to what goes on in the county. I don't think that expanding the college with gymnasiums and swimming pools and turf fields is going to make the college a greater learning institution. That's where the focus needs to be.
Okay, Harvey?
One other comment is I do think this declining enrollment at the county college well represents the declining student population in our elementary schools and high schools. We've seen 15 to 20% drops in many of the districts in this county, and they're the feeder schools to the county college. So we have to resize, we have to refocus, maybe we have to change the curriculum to attract more students, but we can't ignore the declining student population.
All right, Jonathan, you got 15 seconds.
Oh, 15 seconds?
Well, you already had 30.
Oh, okay. If you look at like the highest ranked institution of learning, okay, they all have these types of facilities there. And it's definitely something that would help improve enrollment.
Okay. I've had another request about microphones, specifically Mr. Rosef and Mr. Rose. Bring them closer, please. Okay, thank you. We talked about the colleges. We now move into a little bit of economic development. The county at one point was putting some of its money into an economic development commission. They don't anymore. what should the freeholders be doing to encourage economic development, and what should that economic development be? Bob?
What we should do is provide a business-friendly climate, and the businesses that we have to focus on getting are businesses that bring customers from outside of the county. We need to, things like a bowling alley, theaters, paintball range, things like that, that people can, that attract young people. And I think we also need to attract high-tech industry. We need to have those type of businesses come in. But I think we're just going too much with the CVS's and Taco Bells and stuff like that. We need to focus on the type of businesses that bring people from outside of the county. And I look at the community college as a business. That's why I suggested those improvements.
Harvey?
I think we have to have a little more focus on infrastructure, both mass transit, but also communication services. They have to be beefed up, prepare us for the future. Another example is better coordination. Bob mentioned Route 206 was all torn up in Byram. We never put, that's my hometown, we never put a natural gas pipeline down that street. And here, that's going to be our future town center in Byram. The road's torn up. Nobody thought to put natural gas down that street. And I can tell you right now, we lost a business, a brewery, that could have gone there if we had a fuel source like that.
Carl, 1 minute.
I think the county's responsibility to business development is to provide a good, solid, strong infrastructure. We have good roads, we have a great road department. That facilitates people coming and going into Sussex County. The other thing we have to do is support the mom and pop businesses. They are the bread and butter of the business community. That goes along with the economy. We need to support them. Our engineering department, our road department need to be more customer friendly. We need to have regulations. We need to make things work for businesses rather than to make businesses work for things to happen for us. So that if our departments facilitate the growth of businesses, businesses will be more likely to come up here and to be a part of Sussex County. We're a great community, we got wonderful people, and there's plenty of opportunity up here. That's what draws people up here. We're not going to get big, high-tech, phenomenal businesses up here. We don't have that. We're going to have small mom and pop businesses, and that's what's going to build this county.
And Jonathan, 1 minute.
This question gets to the proper role of government. In my opinion, the proper role of government is to build a solid infrastructure and otherwise get out of the way. I'm not in favor of any more government programs at the county level or state level or national level to try and vitalize business. Get out of the way. At the county level, getting out of the way takes the form of making a more user-friendly engineering department and having our county planning board come to decisions quickly.
30 seconds, anybody? Okay. Second half of my question was, what should that focus be? I've heard a little bit from some of you, mom and pop stores, things like that. Are we focusing on industry? Are we focusing on white collar business? Are we focusing on tourism? Bob, what should be our focus?
Our focus should be extremely well-rounded because all of those have positive aspects to them. If you're talking about like the high-tech industry, those are the people that are going to, if they come in, they're going to buy the $300,000 houses that we're not selling right now in Sussex County. The same way with tourism. Tourism brings in people from out of county, and it provides a lot of jobs for younger people. And then also, a couple of big box stores wouldn't be a bad idea. That mall idea that there was a lot of controversy about up in Frankfurt, like an outlet mall, I think that's a very good idea.
Harvey?
I think government, to some degree, has to get out of the way, but it also has to lay in what's necessary to support both businesses and residents. And the infrastructure is key. once you put the infrastructure in, we live in a capitalist society, although some may challenge that idea. But with the infrastructure in, our society will define the businesses. So I would put extra focus on communication services. That's the future. That's your town center today. It's like the town center's on your cell phone. It's in your computer. I think some mass transit's necessary. We have a county seat that has terrible mass transit. I think we lost an opportunity years ago for a train to come through Sparta and go on to Newton. It maybe is an idea that can be resurrected with the right focus. But these are the things that lay the infrastructure to allow private businessmen to define our future.
Carl?
Look, I really don't see this doom and gloom scenario for Sussex County. I do the fire inspections for my town in Freedon. And our homes are moving. They're selling at what they're assessed or over what they're assessed. What's happening is our seniors are leaving and moving to southern states where the tax burden has been reduced. And I'm sure our legislators are going to speak to that later on this evening. When you do something with the tax structure in New Jersey, people are going to stay here. It's not Sussex County they're leaving. It's New Jersey they're leaving. Sussex County is a great place to live. Younger people are moving in and occupying these homes. I see it every day. And these are the people that are going to build the county. And it's going to be structured around the smaller businesses that the entrepreneurial spirit creates. People don't necessarily want a job. They want a future. And they can build their own future here in Sussex County.
Jonathan?
It's not the government's job to decide who are the winners and losers on the field of life. The government's job should be to act as an impartial referee, to build infrastructure, and to otherwise get out of the way. I'm not in favor of the government putting any special emphasis, the government meaning this debate at the county level, us putting any special emphasis on any particular type of business over another type of business.
30 seconds, anyone? Okay, I have a little follow-up question to that. There's a bill pending in the state assembly that would basically do away with the population as a basis for liquor licenses for restaurants. People in Newton are very much in favor of this, believing that it will bring more restaurants in. There are a couple of developments around the county that would go forward if they could get some restaurants. Restaurants won't come in if they can't have a liquor license. This bill also does hold those who have one of the limited licenses now, gives them a tax break. Are you in favor of that sort of an approach? Harvey?
I'm really not too clear what you said at the end of that.
The bill,
Tax break for...
the bill doesn't set any limits at all on how many liquor licenses can go for restaurants. Right now, there is a limit based on population
There is a limit based on population. That currently, you're saying?
since 1947.
Oh, okay. I think there should be some loosening on liquor licenses. I think a lot of towns would see their downtowns rejuvenated if that occurred.
Carl?
Truthfully, I don't have any opinion one way or the other on it. Liquor licenses are parceled out by the number of residents that you have in a community.
This would eliminate that for restaurants.
Freedom's got 2 or 3 vacant licenses hanging around. You want one, we can get you one cheap. They're all over the place. And how many more restaurants do you want to put in Sussex County if you don't have people to go there and eat at them? I've never wanted for a selection of a place to go and eat. So I don't know that liquor licenses is the answer. More liquor stores, more liquor licenses usually means to me more problems on the street and more problems with people. Do we need to be half-whacked all the time in life?
Jonathan?
Sussex Borough, where I'm mayor, has the same problem that Newton does. We're actually oversubscribed. We have more liquor licenses than our population currently allows. That's grandfathered in back to 1947. So I'm very familiar with this issue, and I am absolutely 100% in favor of loosening the restrictions. In fact, if it was up to me, I'd do away with the restrictions. Here's another government-created monopoly, this time on the sale of liquor, and what we see time and time again is every time the government gets involved in something, we mess it up. So we're hurting towns like Sussex, and Freedom doesn't have the same problem Sussex has. So they've got one blanket rule that covers everyone, and it ends up not working for anybody.
Well,
Yeah, I'm in favor of getting rid of the regulations because it's just basic capitalism. And if you look at states around us, they don't have any limit on liquor licenses. And, you know, anything, if someone wants to have a liquor license and start a business, I just basically think that that's a good thing.
30 seconds? Anybody? Okay. As the top elected officials in Sussex County, the Board of Chosen Freeholders, that's what you folks are trying to be, are that top elected position. It's also a great bully pulpit. And Harvey, you're the first one for this.
A great
What would
what?
be your,
A great what?
bully pulpit?
Oh.
What would be your issue from that bully pulpit?
From what I've seen over the last 8 months, I think there has to be a lot more open discussion on new things, on bringing in the public, getting their suggestions. Maybe every month or two, hold a session where you're inviting the public in on a particular topic. I think we also have to start looking at how we handle pay-to-play, how we handle single bids, how we handle staffing, and bring that out much more into the public domain.
Carl?
Very simply, I think that we have to be examples, representatives of good values, and I think we have to be willing to do the right thing and do what is right. That's a quick, short answer. Don't bother timing anymore.
Jonathan?
The issue most near and dear to my heart is one of government transparency and open government. So as an individual, individually elected freeholder, I would push for transparency both within and without of the freeholder board.
Bob?
I want Sussex County to be treated fairly by Trenton. I mean, you look at that situation down in Byram, okay, they wouldn't pull that stuff if it was a Summit or a Livingston or a place like that. Another thing, I want to maintain good public schools, and the funding formula right now, as discussed at the previous freeholder debate, it's not fair, and it's something that definitely I would advocate going to Trenton to get them to fix that.
30 seconds?
People need to be free. People need to have the ability to move, to go where they want to go, to live the way they want to live, and we should encourage that. That's what encourages growth to come up here.
I'd like to make one statement there, and it goes back to a point earlier tonight. People are free, and they are leaving this county, especially the younger people, looking for jobs. And I think we have to have a focus now on how do we keep the younger people here, what are they looking for, and also with an eye towards attracting the companies that will bring the jobs that they're looking for.
So what are they looking for, other than jobs?
When you're young, I think you touched on it with your last question. You asked about liquor licenses. They're looking for a social environment. I'm not trying to say you go out and get drunk and that's what they're looking for, but if you look around this county right now, there aren't a lot of social spots that really attract the young people. And then obviously you need the job to create that total environment that they're looking for. That's why they're moving to Hoboken.
30 seconds?
Well, I think the improvement of the facilities at SCC, I think what that's going to do is just, I look at the college as being a focal point of the county, and we're talking about keeping young people in the county. When you increase the amount of activities and programs up there, it totally increases the integration of the college into the community.
Well, let me throw out a bully pulpit issue for you, and we'll start with Jonathan. The drug epidemic in this county.
This is a big problem, and we've been seeing the effects of it in Sussex Borough. At the freeholder level, I'm not sure what can happen to affect this much, except for some reform at the jail. I'm in favor of what Sheriff Strada has been doing with the release programs and the bracelet programs, as well as the programs to make the bail easier to get out.
Well, my brother is a lifetime heroin addict, so this is an issue that's very near and dear to me. And the thing is what we don't focus on or think about is that it affects the whole family. It affects, I can tell you from personal experience, the whole family structure. So I think what we need to do is just keep educating kids in the schools, having programs and stuff for them to do, and also, counseling. Have a lot of counseling and also, mental health evaluations and things like that.
Harvey?
I would say, and it's something I've been saying over the last month or two, and Jonathan also just mentioned it, the changes that are occurring right now and how the legal system would address a chunk of those crimes are very good. You're now returning people back to their home, back to their jobs, instead of going through a criminal cycle that creates isolation and hardship and doesn't allow them to dig out and return to a normal life. And I think that's a very big improvement and something we should be fostering.
And Carl?
Don't click that button yet. I could go on this subject for hours. In 1975, I predicted that this county would have a heroin epidemic well beyond what they could ever handle. And I predicted it would happen in 30 years. That was 40 years ago. It takes a long time to deal with this problem. This problem didn't happen in the last 2 years. It happened because prevention programs and family programs were absent, and the county refused to deal with the project years ago. It's going to take us years to get it back. We need to work on values. This is not a sickness, this is a choice. People choose to take drugs. And by making it a sickness and making everybody empathize and sympathize, you got to pull yourself out of this, and somebody's going to help you do it. But treatment is expensive, and no one wants to spend the money for it. So prevention is the key, and schools need to start working on values and using the words right and wrong, and nobody wants to say that.
30 seconds, anybody? Then let me do a rebuttal question. As freeholders, you control a $100 million budget. You can write into it and get approved anything you want. How much do you think the public is willing to spend extra on their taxes to address this issue? And I'll go back to Jonathan.
Drug addiction as a whole is a case where the cure sometimes is worse than the sickness. And what I mean by that is criminalization of drug users often leads to a life of poverty and despair and an inability for one to pull themselves out. I'm in favor of trying to lessen the idea of someone going to jail immediately when they're caught with drugs and to try and get them into treatment instead of just throwing them into our criminal justice system.
But that takes money. How much do you think the Freeholder Board can get from the public? That
I don't have a
accept?
number to give you. If you're looking for a number, that would have to be worked out with Sheriff Mike Strada.
Bob?
Well, the number thing's kind of tough, but I mean, I'd put it at $150,000 to have programs that go to schools, to have counseling in the jails, to have counseling for, the families. Because what ends up happening is there's a lot of enabling that goes on. And, it is a choice whether or not you use drugs or whatever. So basically, the whole family needs to be educated.
Harry?
I'm no expert here. I'm not going to try to pretend to be, and I don't want to say that throwing money at this is a solution. I'll leave it to others to propose solutions. However, I think taxes already are high. So whatever solutions we start looking at, whatever programs we're going to start building at the county level, have to be balanced out. I think the tax problem right now feeds into almost everything we've discussed tonight. When you look at how businesses are locating, when you look at people leaving the county, it's a major issue in that decision. And you're describing another issue that needs to be addressed. I really believe that insurance companies and the state level have to really define that and contribute heavily to that.
Carl, you want to add anything?
Treatment programs are very expensive. The private sector is much better at creating treatment programs than government is. Government makes treatment programs, they have to create a system whereby if we're going to put money into this program, then we want to see the results, and the results are not easily measured. It takes a long time to take the mind of a drug addict and rechannel it. You have to make an adjustment in the conscience of people. They have to begin to reestablish their own self-esteem. That takes time, and time is money. Private enterprise can make this work if they want to make it work, and it's supplemented by insurance companies. But remember, insurance companies limit the amount of money that they'll contribute to this. So the county government is not in a position to fund programming like this, but they could be a facilitator and steer people in a direction where they can go to get the help that's needed.
15 seconds, anybody on this? Okay,
Well, you said it's a $100 million budget, right?
roughly.
Okay. Well, I think basically, I'm not being trite about the amount of money, but I think I said $150,000. I really don't think it's all that much in the big spectrum of things when you look at the size of the problem that we're looking at.
Okay. The next segue from the drug problem goes to the county jail. No matter which two of you win the election, you're going to be there for 3 years. And over that 3 years, the county jail, the restructuring of it, the rebuilding of parts of it is going to be a big issue. There was a recent study done. See, we're back on Jonathan. How much of those recommendations in that study do you think should be followed?
I'm concerned that if nothing is done, if the Freeholder Board just kicks the can down the road, then what will happen is the state of New Jersey will put in an administrative consent order, an ACO, against Sussex County, and then at that point, you don't have control over it. So I've looked briefly at the study that you're talking about, and I think that the cost was somewhere around $20 million. I don't see how that's going to be changed much, maybe plus or minus a few $1 million, and I think that plan to move forward is probably the best one.
Robert?
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, the jail has an aging infrastructure, and the longer that, we let things go over there, the worse it's going to be. So, we have to take care of it in an expedient manner.
Harvey?
The jail's not that old. That's not to say there shouldn't be changes. We also have this new regime of how we're going to handle arrests and how the jail time will apply right up front and later. And I think maybe we should wait a year and see how things settle out there before we decide on what we want to build and what portions of that study we want to fund.
Carl?
There are some things that probably need to be done immediately at the jail. There are some alternatives that we probably should look at down the line on how we're going to handle the jail population. You know, we do have to rehabilitate the building, and, you know, the windows, the doors. It's not fair to put people in a drafty, cold environment, and we should have heat in there, and they should have blankets, and the windows shouldn't be having wind blow through them. So, you know, that's stuff that has to be done. And security has to be done. Don't forget, this doesn't only affect the jail population, it affects the corrections officers who work there. Because if the jail population is at unrest, that makes the job of the corrections officers very difficult and maybe even very dangerous. So I think you have to look at the whole picture, and we're going to have to work on this problem in steps. It's not a massive undertaking. We're going to have to take little bites at a time and move our way into it as we see it grow.
30 seconds, anybody? Okay. Let me get a little personal here, and this will go to Bob first. I'm going to assume that you're going to vote for yourself next week for Freeholder,
Probably.
but there are two people being elected. So
Right.
who are you going to vote for and why
You mean in the Freeholder?
in the Freeholder race?
Well,
One of these other three gentlemen
It doesn't happen.
maybe gets your vote.
This brings up something interesting, because the thing is one of the things that makes our country great is that you vote in secret. You know, so I'm definitely going to keep that one to myself in this great country that we live in.
Harvey?
Yeah, that was
You
well
want to
said.
take a nibble at that big?
No, it was well said.
Carl?
I'm Sport Jonathan. We're running as a team.
I mean,
In teams, there's no I in team. You run as a team.
And Jonathan?
I'm going to be voting for myself and for Mr. Lazaro. I didn't know Mr. Lazaro very much before the primary started, and since then I've come to have a great deal of respect for him. He's insightful. He's a better public speaker than I am, and what he brings to the table that I don't see up here elsewise is experience. He has been doing budgets for a very long time. He knows the ins and outs of local government. He knows where the gotchas are, and he knows how to work with other people to get these things accomplished. We're going to have a big problem with the budget next year because of that solar bailout, and I think Mr. Lazaro is the man that can help fix that problem and close that budget hole.
30 seconds?
Yeah,
Harvey?
I'd like to speak to that. When we had this solar problem started 4 years ago. And as I mentioned before, Somerset paid 4.1 cents per kilowatt hour. We paid 9.35. Mr. Lazaro paid 9.35. There's no budget experience there that I want to see on the Freeholder board.
Anybody else?
Thank you for your support, Harvey. I'm glad to see that you have come aboard and agreed with us on the solar project. But I would caution you to remember that at the time that the town of Freedon agreed to the contract, it was less than 9 cents. It came up there later on.
No,
And I have the documents right here, Harvey.
It started,
Harvey, I'm
the
talking, it's not your
PPA
turn
document
yet.
started from the beginning, Carl.
All right, Harvey. Go ahead,
Okay.
it's up.
Harvey, this one is for you. Our traditional, you get to ask one other candidate a question. So who do you want to ask and what do you want to ask?
Carl, when you signed Amendment Number 1, you stripped away all the protections from the taxpayer on the solar deal. They were allowed to raid the construction funds to pay for the financing. This is the developer. We didn't see any of the developer money in the deal. We allowed the independent trustee to buy into this deal. Amendment Number 1 is what caused all our problems today. But you never said anything. Now you want an investigation. Are you going to be investigating yourself?
No, Harvey, I'm not going to be investigating myself. I'm going to be investigating the people who are involved in the project.
But
Harvey,
that was
it's my turn to talk, your turn to listen. Harvey, you took a document and you cut and pasted it and put it on your website. You didn't tell the whole truth. I have the documents here if anybody wants to look at them. What Harvey did was take amendment number 1 that says nothing about what's on his website, and then take my signature and paste that next to that document. They are not the same thing. There is nothing in this document that says anything about going with changing with another contractor. Our structure was done, but it wasn't plugged in. And it couldn't be plugged in until the township committee, not me, signed the document to say, we need somebody to finish the project so we can plug it in. They're here.
I'll show you the document anytime you want, Carl. Anything over on this side of the table for rebuttal or involved in this question?
Mr. Osef, you're the master of afterthought. You know, you're attacking Mr. Lazaro for something that happened 4 years ago, or 3 years ago. Where were you when this started? It's easy to say with 20/20 hindsight that this isn't a good idea, but where were you back then?
You're right, I was not a signee. I did not vote to accept it. You're totally correct. But I also did not enter a primary and start throwing rocks at other people who were trying to fix the thing when you had dug, when Carl had dug the hole. So when you say, where was I wasn't being disingenuous. I didn't dig the hole and then say, oh, what a bad deal to bail someone out. I didn't do that. And yes, I came along the beginning of this year, but I came along with the facts, I came along with the roadmap on how this thing evolved. And I did not attack anyone else trying to find a solution when you know, you had already dug the hole and created this problem.
Okay, Carl, since you were asked a question, it is now your turn to ask one of the other candidates a question. So go for it.
I've heard a lot from you, Harvey, on this subject.
I'm going to assume that this is going to Harvey?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to know what you've done. I'd like to know what you've done in the last 20 years. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd like to know if you were out on an EMS call or a fire call. I'd like to know why you spent $50,000 of a taxpayer's money on a lawsuit that you know was a losing lawsuit and that was wrong. You say you're not taking orders from anyone, but you took orders from Carlos Loasis, who fed you all the stuff to do your lawsuit. You cost your town a fortune. Everything you say is vague and not at all transparent. After all this time, tell me, what have you done? Anything would be fine.
This lawsuit was me standing tall and fighting on behalf of the taxpayers in my town so that the town would not continuously exceed the budget cap limit. And it wasn't a lawsuit, it was a petition. This petition was to reverse years, decades, where we were not adhering to the limits as defined by the state statutes. And not only did we fight it politically, we ended up in court, we executed our own lawsuits, we stood tall. There was no Carlos Loasis telling me what to do. That's just utter nonsense. And on top of that, because of this $50,000 cost that is being assigned to the town, we probably saved the taxpayer $300,000 because our town in the subsequent years came through with the tightest budgets that our town has ever done. And this only occurred because we stood tall. 5 people stood tall and pushed back. All the way through the courtroom with our own efforts, without us spending $50,000.
Okay. Time's up. Jonathan, your turn to ask a question of one of the other candidates.
I'd ask Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh, I've heard your ideas, and some of them sound quite good, but how are you going to pay for all that? To me, it seems like it's about a $10 million cost, and where in the budget does that fit?
Well, $10 million for the community college?
Yes, among the other.
I wouldn't put it at, those improvements right there, I wouldn't put it $10 million, Jonathan. I would put it more at like, more about $1 million. And if we, if we would have perhaps to bond it, but then again, the budget of the community college was cut $1 million 4 years ago. So if you just restore that, you could do those capital improvements.
Anybody else? 30-second rebuttal? Last question. Bob, to whom and what is the question?
Oh, my question?
You get a chance to ask one of the other.
Well, I'm not going to really ask one because I think it takes a tone of criticizing others. It kind of takes a tone of that, and I don't believe in doing that.
You can ask for information if you want.
Nah, I'm all right.
Okay. Now we'll move into the ever-popular lightning round. This one is going to start with Harvey, and then it'll go Carl, Jonathan, Robert. Yes, no. There was one question where there might be a name involved, but I won't tell you whether you believe in Santa Claus or not. And then the second question, and since there's only 4 of you, there will only be 4 questions. Harvey, do you support the current freeholder policy of term limits for community college trustees?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
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 Okay. Carl? Do you support a voter referendum for any county borrowing over $5 million?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Jonathan, do you support the open space tax that will be on the Sussex County ballot
No.
next week?
No.
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 No, except, no, right, no.
Yes or no? Nice try, though. And here we go with a name. Bob, who will you support for election to the office of Freeholder Director for 2016?
Wow. For 2016?
Next year. If you're elected, you have a vote.
Well, I would say Phil Crabb. He's got experience.
I pass.
Okay.
You can't, I don't think you can say that because we don't know who's going to be elected.
I'm passing on that one.
All righty. Gentlemen, that's the extent of my questions. We now have a minute for your closing, and we're going to go in reverse order of what you did for your opening. So, Mr. Lazaro, your floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention to the comments of the evening. You have heard the voice of all of us and the snippets of information as we responded to questions. I hope that has supplemented the information that you already know. Jonathan and I bring the experience and proven leadership of several years in local government where the action really is happening, as that affects your lives directly. We know how to get results in making government smaller and more responsive to your needs. We have been truthful and have served our communities for many years, while our opponents have very little to offer other than discontent with the current situation. We are equipped to change how government works and make it work for you. We will bring responsible government to you, the people. We will be guardians of your tax dollars. We will use them wisely and frugally. We know how, as we have done it in our communities, and they prosper. We have been truthful with our vision of the future and have demonstrated the ability to deliver from our past experience in local government. We bring a positive vision of the future for your county. Please support our efforts to make your government work for you and cast your vote for a positive vision of Sussex County by voting for Carl and Jonathan on November 3rd for new values and a new direction. Thank you.
Hey, Jonathan?
Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us tonight and for hearing all of us, what all of us have to say about the issues in Sussex County. What my running mate, Carl Lazaro, and I bring to the table is experience. Between the two of us, we've got more than 17 years of working on budgets. We've been around long enough to know where the traps and pitfalls lie. We've learned how to sniff out problems before they happen and to find solutions to problems when they do arise. Should Carl and I be elected, we'll work to accomplish the following. 1, start an investigation into the solar project. Find out how we got into this mess and how we can prevent this from ever happening again. Then put controls in place so that the taxpayers never have to endure another large-scale failed project. 2, push county government to be more open and answerable to the people. Stop the backroom deals and give the people, meaning you, the information you need to evaluate how decisions are made. 3, stop the transitional care bureaucracy from taking root. As Reagan said, the nearest thing to eternal life we'll ever see on this earth is a government program. We must kill this weed before it takes root and takes our tax dollars with it. Thank you again for coming here tonight and hearing our vision for the future.
Bob?
Well, first of all, Bruce, I want to thank you. I mean, I think you did a better job than anybody I saw on TV in the presidential thing, so I think you do a great job. But anyway, I think what I have to offer is I bring a perspective of leadership because I've been a teacher, I've been a coach, I've been a referee. You have to make decisions doing that. You have to make decisions, and the thing is I haven't taken a dime from anybody, okay? And I even make my own signs. I literally don't make my own signs. It costs about $5 to do, and I can do it in about 5 minutes. So I think, you know, my campaign slogan is "Owes no one," and I think that puts me in a spot to really help people.
And Harvey?
I think we've all heard much of what's been up, you know, what all of us have been saying up here tonight. It's all been heard before. What's a little unique this year is there are independents running. And that's the salient change with past years. An independent brings change. And that's what I offer. That very fact, common sense, and I have not been indoctrinated into any philosophies. You heard before, I have done my own legal work. There's not going to be a lawyer shepherd me around. All of these are important factors. If you want to see change, I think you have to vote Rose F. for Freeholder.
Okay, gentlemen, I applaud you for putting yourselves out in front of the public, running for office. And I'm going to turn around here and look up at the camera just slightly. I want to remind everybody that Tuesday, it's the public's chance to say who did the best job here and who they want to see for the next 3 years for Freeholder. There are a lot of other issues on the ballot, other candidates. As I mentioned, there is the open space tax for Sussex County. So please get out and vote. And thank you, and have a good evening.
We'll take a 15-minute break.
Thank you. We're pretty much on track. We're going to start the next debate at 7:15. So take a quick break and then come on back. Thank you.
You don't know.